Hello and welcome. This is the Daily Dharma. My name is Dina. Thank you for joining. As you can see, it is such a glorious day today. I couldn't help but bring my supplies outdoors and set us up for an outdoor reading. I hope you appreciate the sounds of nature, and I hope that you will excuse the sounds of people if they happen to have the urge to drive by with anything irritating. Please forgive. I'll try to pause if we are able. So today we've got patchouli and yerba santa kicking in the herb bowl. Let us stop and give thanks for all of the minerals and herbs and Mother Earth for this weather and these natural, beautiful sounds, and for our own peace and serenity, whatever level that we are at. So since we're outside, it's a pretty windless day, but I did bring out some gemstones just to hold down the cards so that I don't have them flying all over should a gust come up, as might happen. Today I have picked out this bowl of serpentine. Serpentine can sometimes be a lot darker green with even the reddish inclusions, but this is a gentler type of serpentine, and sometimes I do read a little bit out of this crystal Bible for you all. I'll show you the picture. That's the picture that they indicate, but then there's this other type called the Infinite Stone, which to me, as a Marvel fan, I'm sorry, fangirl, it looked like the Infinity Stone, so take that as whatever message you want. It talks about how the typical type of serpentine clears chakras, aiding in earthing and meditation, spiritual exploration, stimulates crown chakra, opening psychic abilities to help understand the spiritual basis of life, can open up new pathways for kundalini energy to rise upward, and psychologically helping you to feel more in control of your life, and I would suggest your emotions as well. Extremely cleansing and detoxing for body and blood, ensuring longevity. So the Infinite Stone, the lighter green serpentine, is a gentle, tender-natured stone that brings you into contact with angelic guidance in addition to the other attributes of the typical stone. Accesses and integrates past, present, and future, and is excellent for past life exploration, healing realms that exist in the between lives state, where soul contracts are written and committed to, and also anything healing those things that were contracted in previous lives and brought forward into this life for further resolution, helping us to complete those cycles. We've got a couple keywords in here, as I've already got some of these cards laid out, the entire layout, and there are many keywords happening here. This stone heals imbalances from past lives, clears the emotional baggage from previous relationships, and placed on the throat, aids in speaking of the past and resolves issues that have been carried over. Excellent if you want to confront anyone from your past, and brings a gentle touch to the meeting. Can also be excellent for pain relief, especially for menstruation and muscular aches and pains. So very good stone, and I picked that before I laid out the cards. It's just sometimes I don't know if it's the stone that calls forth the message that relates to its resonant frequency for resolution and clearing up, or if it's just my own resonance with the powers that be speaking through in all of these different love languages to us in this present tense. And this keeps coming up in the readings with the idea of that we don't know always to the extent that we're influenced by those things that are influencing us, because by the nature of the whole issue of being influenced, it becomes so subtle and so integrated into our own mental and emotional and physical and astral being, soul and human dimension, that it sometimes we're never outside of our energy long enough, symbolically enough, further outside of the picture frame to perceive of the differences between self and other. We need to rely on other individuals to reflect back to us when things are out of alignment, when we are making others uncomfortable. Do we always understand that it's not always a good thing and it's not always a bad thing, but understanding and comprehending coherence, resonance, and lack of resonance can help us to resolve some of these things that are so internalized that we can't get out of our own way. So I hope that that makes sense. I'm not trying to implicate anybody here. It's just part of what we're here to do. So I've got some rows here, some columns, let's say, as well as rows. So the first two decks we have, which one did I start with? I guess that the first one that began talking was the Return to Spirit deck. It's this fractal artistry that comes through change of mind with up. So these ones came out with the first clarifier of the Divine Feminine, which supported what I was feeling with these cards, that there's, with the up card, it's like opening up the mind, opening our hands by simplification, opening up our mouth to set a boundary or limit. So opening up our energetic pathways, and that reminds me of what we just read in there, opening up any blocks due to belief, understanding, or influences that has been resistant to the ultimate cleansing, clearing, and upliftment of our spirit. What is weighing us down? So the change of mind is us breaking through a threshold of understanding of how we influence others and how we have been influenced, and how those things are ready to be integrated and used as a stepping stone to the next point, because this first column has to do with where we're kind of coming from, and almost in a epiphany moment, a eureka tower moment that can feel a little bit challenging to work through and navigate if we identify overly much with the ego attachments. There's something here that has been resisted being acknowledged because there's a comfort in maintaining a sense of, I want to say, negotiation, like negotiating with terrorists in our lives for accomplishment of something else, such as, just an easy example is when we have an upbringing that kind of sets us up for caretaking or service work, or compromising our own needs and desires to create more cohesion in a group. We just start to be accommodating rather than individuated. And that's not in every situation, but some come and go. So the further clarification was a bit interesting. The first one to pop out was empty well, followed nearly immediately with teachability. So the empty well here, it's got this cosmic center there. So even though it might appear in certain situations as like a moment of despair, a moment of perhaps having our back against the wall, or feeling that we're at an incredibly low point and we can't do any more or go any farther. It's reaching the end of some type of a rope, so to speak, that we've been giving people more and more rope, or giving a situation more and more rope, and finally we're at the end and we're like needing to recognize that we can't go any further. We need to climb back up and out. We need to change our belief that has led us to self-exploitation, or allowing things to to keep being prioritized in front of our health, well-being, healing, our preferences, our desires. And it's not about the others. It's all this internal thing here that we're recognizing, the ways that we participate and what doesn't serve. So the empty well, it's time to replenish. And once we realize that we're at the bottom of this, we can also recognize that there is no above and below. They are, as I saw 1010 there, their mirror images. The 1010 has been speaking to me for the last couple of years, honestly. 1010 is a big one that I see more often than 1111, but I did start this filming right at about 1111 on our Eastern time. And so as we recognize at the bottom that sometimes the most efficient way isn't to necessarily climb back up that same old rope or to follow that same old stream back to its source. We know where that leads. We know how we got to this point. Sometimes at the end of the rope, the most efficient way to release is just to release and just say, okay, I'm tapped out. This thing here is indicating to me that this is not replenishing, this is diminishing or draining. There's 1111 on the timer. And so sometimes at the bottom, when we finally release that rope, we can find that at the bottom of that empty well, so to speak, we can dive through the bottom of this and come out the other side in a completely different dimension. And I say this as in a couple of ways. Okay, I do want to talk of out of body experiences because I randomly opened up to a passage in my ESP book and it got me reading a few pages about out of body experiences happening during deep sleep moments, and almost unbeknownst to us, but us appearing almost physically standing in front of other individuals, so realistic that they interact with that being. So that's a little out there for some, right? But take it on the symbolic level if you're not ready for exploring that tidbit. But that one came through, but also it's like, speaking of dimensions, not as places, but as states of vibrational being, because I want to say right here, first and foremost, at 12 minutes and change, that this is really talking quite a bit about soul harmonics and how we are the conductors, the directors of our energy, and how that energetic frequency is played through us, how we are expressing this out again backwards to the beginning where we talked about our influence on others, theirs upon us. And why is there the need for interaction? Is it only to heal the self? Perhaps, but we're also built with this big old mouthpiece and these nonverbal cues that can complicate or assist in creating more cohesion between those that are on the same page with us and those others that are the magical, alchemical conduits for us to create extreme change in our life. Extreme change doesn't happen through resonance, it happens through dissonance, where there's a clash and there's a mismatch, and all of a sudden something isn't working. It doesn't feel so good. The body's our indicator, the gut and the brain and our body, the way it feels. Is it tired? Is it drained? Are we absorbing our nutrients correctly? And these are sometimes quite at the base level, vibrational resonance, ability to receive, ability to open the mind, open the heart, open the gut to the influence, open our hands to receive new information, because we're coming up with that hollow bone teachability. Is like the hollow bone is like to change our mind into the blank slate, tabula rasa, where we say, okay, I understand I have this basis. I can be that 13th monkey that is born in knowing that there are certain dangers, but I can also take my faith and my experiences and my quest and thirst for adventure and exploration to say, I'm also curious to see, what if I applied this different thing, or what if I did it rather than this person? Because yeah, fire's hot. We don't want to stick our hands in it, but at the same time, it can do so many great things. It's not only destructive. And in the same way, when we can look at something with fresh eyes, we can change our mind, leveling upward and outward from those limiting situations that we so called know without a shadow of a doubt. When we come out of that ultra knowing, then we are the collective universal mind, the continual student. And when the mind is wide open, the heart is wide open, etc., we are open and ready to receive all the gifts and the wonders of the universe channeled through, speaking through. Often I get messages that don't agree with my ego, and I still have to recognize and say, yes, I hear you. I'll work with that. I'll meditate on that. And it comes through this hollow bone, and then it speaks through us through those verbal and nonverbal and statures, and just the well-being awareness on the face. We can see if somebody is taking good care of themselves, um, or not, sometimes, not always. And sometimes we can tell if somebody's tired or if somebody's sad or whatever else. So there's these influencers coming through, and also our ability to project out the messages of spirit versus the messages of ego. So, coming out lastly, I had this 4 cards spill out, and I didn't necessarily want to take so many cards, but we've got a lot, so I'll try to round this out. So, we started with Andean Cross, number 2. And this one to me is also talking about latent soul blueprint indicators on the auric shield and within the auric field that are waiting to be catalyzed by situations, by resonance, by time and space and proximity, and all kinds of things, waiting to kind of push us from dissonance into resonance, from externalized, from judgment and projection, into the pit. I had a big push when I was asking to recollect all of those extraneous thought forms and projections and fears and anxieties, and overthinking, back into the core of curiosity and waiting. Waiting is a key, but different than maybe we indicate. And so here, again, we have this, when we're brought back to the center, it's that empty well back through the other side of the portal. And there's this completion point where the portal is now closed, because once the mind has been stretched, then we can no longer push it back into the box. And here is Sweat Lodge. This to me is that auric shield and field here, where you can see those blueprints, that light language, those codes on the shell here. And it's almost like this individual here is stepping out of their space here. And I was seeing this as the out of body experience, whether it's happening known or unknown to us. It's like, just as we're stepping through, that's where the empty well is calling us forward. And it's like the shape here on the ground here, it's like once we come back into the center, there's this bright light from the cosmos, from the divine, the stars, or that cosmic insight that's coming in, activating all of these messages with the birds here too. But that shadow projection, it's like leaving behind something that no longer serves. And then these two came out together too: Feast of Plenty, Choices and Their Consequences, as well as Crown Games, Right Use of Power. And I was seeing this auric shield as this crystal ball here, where now that we're in this new dimensional awareness, by changing the mind, we take ourselves from, let's say, for instance, victimization or misunderstanding or power games or manipulation games here going on. We shift outside in this out of body type of experience, where we're lifting upwards and outwards from one belief pattern that has kept us stuck in some way, in order to receive the messages of the mother, and to to allow us to move beyond the apparent compromising of our energy into the ability to shapeshift based on our choices. It's this manifestation point where we're seeing things from the end, making a vision quest to where do I want to be? Does this serve my path? I thought that this did and that did because they gifted me this and this, but perhaps it was a chapter and not a chapter book, and now there's this urge to change or to set a boundary within a situation that you would like to continue. Excuse the road noise, please. Our next group is the throat chakra came out, clarifying assistance and take flight. So we're getting some sense of, I want to say gumption, some type of support in speaking our truth to someone, to set a proper boundary in a gentle and loving way. Like we can love the person but not love their messages and their behaviors, and instead of blaming, we can serve the situation and really connect deeper to assist other individuals to move beyond their boundaries, to pulling their kundalini upwards and connecting deeply with their faith, with their spiritual resonance here. And clarifying that further, we have the tree of life. I love the entangled energy here, like loving another and not just throwing them away, baby with the bathwater is a saying that they'll talk about. And there's these butterflies all below. It's like by delivering these messages in a loving way, we assist both individuals to transform, and then we complete the soul contract to assist another to lift themselves up, to change their own mind, their own behavior, but perhaps through the example of setting our own firm and loving boundaries for our own best interest. We can open a situation out. So deep, quiet, meditation and stillness. I feel like this is us connecting deeply with spirit in this way, recognizing the extreme shift here and the need to set that boundary, the need to be heard, the need to be firm, and to take back all of our power and authenticity from something that's been compromising unjustly, I want to say. Under the vibrational deck here, we have this return to spirit. I said vibrational because it's right here. It's all a matter of shifting our vibration. We are this star seed being here. And by simplifying something such as perhaps and this is us channeling this information through this hollow bone and projecting it outwards, being the messenger of spirit as this cosmically integrated being who has just made it through that cosmic portal. We're simplifying our life. We're setting those boundaries. And here's the music card. That's the soul harmonics, to be in the moment. And as these harmonics really start surfacing in our life, there is all of this new information, all of this new energy liberated for us to direct towards what we really are here to build and create, and to alleviate any stress of being engaged in what is sapping our energy, so that we have more to go towards what we really want and need and desire in this life, and who we try to show up as: happy, fulfilled, playful, engaged, loving, loved, belonging. Frequency shift. This is all as we go through this frequency shift, we're tapping into our own soul harmonics, into our own vibrational resonance as powerful vibrational beings. And so then we've also got at the end here coherence and belief popping out at the end. And that's where we've already been talking about this, some type of perhaps foundational or adaptive belief structure. We're gaining understanding of how to employ that and how not to employ that in our lives. And then over here we got universal love and authority popping through here. That universal love coming through as that loving assistance to help us to lift ourselves up and out of a situation, realizing our connection with spirit is a matter of simplifying all of the clutter that is happening in heart and mind here, realizing that we need to redirect some of our efforts and energies towards really honing and coming back in tune with our beautiful soul harmonic song. Being a conduit of spirit is that soul harmonic sound and song that we are able to bring forth. And this is bringing a lot more confidence, a lot more engagement, a lot more of everything that we have been looking for, and a new structural belief is helping us create more resonance in our lives instead of all of that um, burden or whatever else it might be, or victimization, etc., that we already spoke of. So then we've got this big fallout here at the end under coherence belief, and also the underneath of the deck with that soul harmonics here, understanding how this shifting belief can help our soul song. So first, let me see here. First, we get horned cactus resourcefulness. This is talking to me about some recent, the eclipses recently, as well as that Uranian influence with Jupiter and then with Venus. And now we've got this stellium moving in out of Taurus and into Gemini during Gemini season. But we've also, right at this time, we have Mars moving out of Aries and into Taurus. I see Taurus because of this, the bull horns here, our stubbornness, the way that we hold any prickly energy in our body, and also when we need to engage some of that energy for protection and to create space around us for our own well-being, like limiting certain individuals' access to us or their continuous engagement and their ability to tap into our resourcefulness for their gain while it's not being seen in equal return. There's a need here to really speak very firmly and to reach some new conclusions about what needs to be released to stop that anchor from pulling us under the waves, and to hold on instead to the bobber that is going to lift us upward and outward, to buoy us up above, and then allow us to dry those caterpillar, the butterfly wings, to lift us upward and outward and transform and take flight. We're getting assistance to speak it into being, to believe it into being, and to allow ourselves to tap into the feeling of what is it that we're doing, and can we really look around and see the evidence of all the beauty and the miracles that we've created with our own energy, and get really fired up about enjoying the journey to further abundance. So the next few popped out. With that, we have the smoky mirror, our ability to lift outward from that portal here is like underneath the surface anchored, versus there's that portal right here where we flip up on the other side and say, well, I don't need to be responsible for this person's success. I've got my own success to worry about, and let them handle it. Nobody is that far beyond that they need to take from our beyond our abundance, beyond our giving expectation here. So that smoky mirror is us coming out of any type of crown games where we let others stand in their own business and figure out their own path and take back our our power from a situation. Here we've got falling angel, spiritual narcolepsy, and that on both sides, it can be us finally letting go of that rope and feeling like we're getting beyond something. But then as we let go of the rope, have you ever seen in tug of war where multiple people are on both sides, and then all of a sudden everybody on one side lets go and those other people all fall down on the other side because they've been tugging on your energy so much that if we finally just let them fall on their ass, then maybe they will recognize how little they've been standing up and how much they've been pulling on us. So I'm seeing that you let go of something and you go up on this holy mountain and are really taking that extreme meditation, that deep, quiet meditation and stillness here on the top of that mountain in your sacred space, or, standing tall and firm in some type of newfound space. If something's been taking too much of you, you are pulling back your resources into self to really honor yourself. And closing door came out flipped in the deck when these ones fell out. And this is a big pile, so we're not going to be able to do all of this. But the gist is we've got skywriting the fates. This has been something that you've been maybe looking at creating something enormous here and unable to see your way through. You thought you were way far back, but you're right there at the precipice of this success, and here it comes this year. So skywriting the fates, skybridge, possibility for union. You're getting back to where you need to be, and the pathway, the portal just opened up and you're able to just walk right through here. And we've got the upper world coming down to greet you, meet you, and guide you through this portal, lifting you up and out of this circumstance or this energetic drain. And here we have spirit of the river, movement towards adventure. It's like that again, letting go of the anchor, letting go of the rope, and then rising up with the quality of the air, the inspiration that you are, leading you forward and through the finish line, so to speak, and accomplishing something incredible. Gaining all that power back helps you to be recognized and helps a level of you be really surfacing in others' awareness as well. The council, I see that there's like either some elders, some individuals who have been really pulling for you in this physical realm, as well as many other beings and angelics, perhaps, on the other end of beyond the veil, pulling for us, waiting for us to learn this lesson. And while we were maybe angry, frustrated, and entangled with something, when we take back the power, it's like we've learned the lesson the right way, not by just destroying or getting angry or fighting or throwing something out, but working with the energies as co-creators, even with some individuals that might seem challenging. Are we able to help both of us heal through this? And Spirit's like, you're getting it, you're getting it. They're so ecstatic. Stand still. This is again that meditation. It's being able to pause for the cause and let things show themselves, to take a pause and look around yourself at this miraculous life and being that you are and you have built, and all the success and beauty that you are. And here's the water. I think that there's a big release here. There's definitely that river, that well. There's the restoration of your energies, and it's like this water is that resurgence of creative energy coming forward. So we've got under the deck here, stars in the sky, limitless possibilities with dances on one foot, balancing act, rebalancing your life. And lastly, we've got the spiral over here with dragon's horde protecting the future, and netcaster preparations come to fruition.